so at 6:30, I'll call the meeting to order. And this is Wednesday, November the 2nd. And actually, this is the council meeting for October. Ordinarily, it would have been held the Monday following the election, but clerk was still quite busy on that Monday, so got postponed a few extra days. So that's explains why we're here on November the 2nd instead of October the what, 24th or 23rd or something. And so this will be the last regular meeting of this council. And the new council will be sworn in on November the 21st. And then I think there'll be that'll be at the inaugural meeting. And then is there a council meeting scheduled for the month of November? There is, okay. All right, so that calls the meeting to order. Now, just before I start, I want to first of all thank the staff for these these nice shadow boxes that they've put on our desks here tonight as mementos of our 4 years in council. And I want to thank them for that. I'm going to shortly move mine to the side here. Also on your desk tonight, councilors, you'll see the white box. And the white box is the paperweight that I had prepared to present to Prisbian when we anticipated that Prisbian would have an official opening of their new distribution center. And at the time that I had them ordered, we didn't have a date for the official opening, so I showed it as spring 2022. But the longer things went on, the more clear it became from conversations and text message with Mr. Edwards that wasn't about to happen. So anyway, I did deliver them to the gatehouse at Prisbian, and so that they would have them just as souvenir mementos of the official opening, which they didn't hold, of their new distribution center. And I just want to say that the distribution center was a $7 million addition to our township, and Prisbian Group moved their distribution center from Toronto to Edwardsburg Cardinal, and this will be the distribution center for all of Eastern North America. I should say eastern side US and Canada. So we're pretty pleased with that. Now, also on your desk tonight, councilor, is a small little black box containing a memento from the mayor in recognition of our term together. And it's not much, but just wanted to make sure that you all had a small memento of your term from 2018 to 2022. So with those few words, I'm just going to set my box aside here for more room on my desk. And I have to be very careful how I do this. I'm just going to set it here. And
the warranty is off as soon as you come.
I was kind of worried about that. All right, so the next item on the agenda, of course, is approval of the agenda. And Deputy Mayor Deschamps, I think you have the motion to approve the agenda.
I certainly do, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Hugh Cameron that municipal council approves the agenda and there are no changes to it as presented.
Thank you very much. Motion's on the floor. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you. So going on, the next item on the agenda is disclosure of pecuniary interest. And if there is a disclosure, a general statement of the nature of that pecuniary interest. Are there any disclosures here this evening?
No money.
The chair notes no disclosures. Item number 4 on the agenda is delegations and presentations. We have none this evening, which leads me directly to item number 5, which is the minutes of the previous council meeting, which is the meeting of September the 26th. And I'll deal with business arising from those minutes at the next item on the agenda. But for now, looking at the minutes of September the 26th, are there any errors or omissions? And if there are no errors or omissions, then I'll ask Councillor Dillabaugh to bring the motion forward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Councilor Cameron that the municipality council receives and approves the minutes of the regular council meeting dated September 26, 2022.
Thank you very much. Questions, discussion? Hearing none, those in favor? Motion is carried. Minutes are approved. And so now I'll deal with business arising from those minutes. Does anyone have any business arising? Hearing no business arising. I'm about to move on. And the next item on the agenda is the approval of various minutes of various committee meetings that were held during the past month or so. And the first, of course, is the Public Library Board meeting of June the 28th. Councillor Cameron.
Yes, thank you. It's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Dillabaugh that municipal council receives the minutes of the Public Library Board meeting dated June 28th, 2022.
Thank you very much, Councillor. So those minutes are on the floor, open for discussion. I see we have with those minutes, the financial statements for the library board. Library board is a separate board, separate from council. It has its own act. Is there any discussion with regard to these minutes? Hearing none, I'm about to call a question to approve those minutes. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. And just before I go on, my apologies, I meant to mention that spoke this morning to Councillor Hunter and he did extend regrets at not being able to be present tonight. And I apologize to him for not mentioning it upstairs as well. I know he would like to have been here. And item number 7B on the agenda is the Port Management Committee meetings of September the 21st. Councillor Dillabaugh, would you bring those forward, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Councilor Cameron that the municipality council receives the minutes of the Port Management Committee meeting dated September 21st, 2022.
Thank you very much. The minutes are on the floor. Is there any discussion? No discussion, no questions. I'm about to call the question to approve the minutes of the Port Management Committee. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you. And item number 7C is the Committee of the Whole meeting for Community Development. Deputy Mayor Deschamps, I think you have the.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Hugh Cameron, that municipal council receives and approves the minutes of the Committee of the Whole Community Development meeting dated October 3rd, 2022.
Thank you very much. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you. And item number 7D is the Committee of the Whole meeting of Administration and Finance. Councillor Dillabaugh, would you bring that forward, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Councilor Cameron that the municipality council receives and approves the minutes of the Committee of the Whole Administration and Finance meeting dated October 11th, 2022.
Thank you very much. Discussion, if any? Hearing none. Those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. And just before I go on, for the benefit of the folks in the gallery, our committees are basically committees, Committee of the Whole. We act as Committee of the Whole. All 5 members of council are on all of those committees. So consequently, we're all very familiar with the content of these minutes. And that's why you'll see very little discussion at these council meeting, because this is the formality at which the minutes of those committees are approved. But we've all been at those meetings, and that's where the basic, most of the discussion takes place. So now I'm at item number 7E, which is the Committee of the Whole, Public Works, Environmental Services and Facilities Committee. Councillor Cameron, would you bring that forward, please?
Yes, thank you. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Dillabaugh that municipal council receives and approves the minutes of the Committee of the Whole, Public Works, Environmental Services and Facilities meeting dated October 17th, 2022.
Thank you very much. Discussion, if any? Hearing none. Those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. And now I'm at item number 8 on the agenda. And just before we go on, to the clerk, were there extra copies of the agenda and the meeting package? So there were and there are. And okay, I see that one of the ladies is going to get a couple. Anybody that wishes to have these paper copies in front of them, they are available in the vestibule there. My apologies for not covering that little base a little bit sooner. So now I'm at item number 8A, which is the action and information items that are coming forward from those committees. So this is where we actually approve some of the recommendations. So the first is the year-end cormorant control report from our cormorant control officer. And Deputy Mayor Deschamps, would you bring that report forward, please?
I will, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Hugh Cameron. Whereas on October 11th, 2022, the Committee of the Whole, Administration and Finance received and reviewed the 2022 year-end cormorant control report prepared by Trapper John Courtney, and whereas based on Mr. Courtney's trapping and cormorant control experience, Mr. Courtney provided a number of recommendations to council to consider, for council to consider. And whereas Committee of the Whole supported Mr. Courtney's recommendations to be brought forward to council. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Municipal Council supports Mr. Courtney's recommendations as outlined. Number one, that a formal request to the USA be made to have them clean up the nesting site on Chimney Island, and two, that the Chimney Island site cleanup work be done over this winter, and three, that a formal request be made to Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry, United Counties, to implement a cormorant control program neighboring Edwardsburg Cardinal.
Thank you very much. That's the recommendation coming forward to adopt this report. Discussion, if any.
Just a comment, if I may.
Go ahead.
I just, want to commend Mr. Courtney on the continued fantastic cormorant control work that he has done in the last 4 years, at least that I've done on council. There's a drastic a difference between what our area looked like before he took over and what it looks like now. If we can get those folks in the United States and our neighbors around us to follow the lead, hopefully we can keep the cormorants a little better under control.
Thank you very much. And I think that sentiment is widely shared. Any further discussion on this report? Hearing none, I'm about to call the question. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you. And so I'm moving to item number 8B, which is a road closure request at 2426 Queen Street for Ferguson. Councillor Dillabaugh, would you bring that forward, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Cameron. The Municipality Council direct staff to have a draft reference plan then finalize and proceed to publicly advertise the pending closure of the conveyance of Second Street between Queen Street and King Street, as recommended by the Committee of the Whole, Public Works, Environmental Service and Facilities.
Thank you very much. Discussion, if any? Hearing none, vote to call the question. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you. And then I'm proceeding to item number 8C, which is a request to convey a portion of King Street for Johnstown self-storage. Now, Deputy Mayor Deschamps, would you bring that forward, please?
Well, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Hugh Cameron, that Municipal Council direct staff to publicly advertise the conveyance and prepare a bylaw to convey the remaining leased portion of King Street from County Road 2 to First Street to Johnstown self-storage as recommended by the Committee of the Whole, Public Works, Environmental Services and Facilities.
Thank you very much. Motion is on the floor. Discussion, if any. Again, well discussed at the committee level. So then I'm about to call the question. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you. And now I'm at item 8D, which is a request to stop up, close and convey Part 4 on Plan 15R6142 for Pincott. Councillor Cameron, would you bring that motion forward, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Dillabaugh. The Municipal Council direct staff to publicly advertise the intended conveyance and prepare a bylaw to stop up, close and convey the unopened road allowance known as excuse me, Part 4 on Plan 15R6143 to the owner of 7064 County Road 44, as recommended by the Committee of the Whole, Public Works, Environmental Services and Facilities.
Thank you very much. And the discussion, if any, again, well discussed at the committee level. Vote to call the question. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion, Councilor Dillaw, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Motion is carried. And so just let me say, there's a number of conveyances here. These are old problems that have been brought to the attention of council in the last 2 or 3 months, and the staff has worked pretty diligently with the people that are asking for these conveyances to have the final the final legalizations, if I can put it that way, registered on title, so that these unopened road allowances, which have now been stopped up, closed, and are now going to be conveyed to adjacent owners. And we have a lot of those unopened road allowances in the township. I can tell you that, and many of them go back 20 and 30 years, and some of the ones that we're cleaning up here tonight have that kind of a history behind them. So now I'm going to item number 8E, which is a request to stop up and close part 2 on Plan 15R 6142 of WEMAT. Councilor Dillabaugh, would you bring that forward, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Deputy Mayor DeShantz that the municipality council direct staff to public advertise pending closure of the unopened road allowance north of Part 2 of Plan 15R-6142 to Duclos Road, and to prepare the necessary bylaw as recommended by the Committee of the Whole, Public Works, Environmental Service and Facilities.
Thank you very much. Being well discussed at the committee level. Questions, discussion, if any? Hearing none. Vote to call the question. Those in favor? Count. I think I saw your hand there, Councilor. Thank you very much. And moving on to then item F, 8F. This is a request for a draft plan extension for the Meadowlands North subdivision. Councilor Cameron, would you bring that forward, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Councilor Dillabaugh that municipal council recommends in favor of a 1-year extension of the draft plan approval of the Meadowlands North subdivision file 07-T-09001.
Okay, thank you very much. And just again, for the benefit of the folks in the gallery, draft plans of subdivision are approved by county council and by the county planning staff, and they have a lifespan now with the current county council. They have a lifespan of 3 years, and this one is due to expire in February, and so the owner of the subdivision is asking for a 1-year extension, and that's the purpose of this resolution. Discussion, if any? Again, well discussed at the committee level. Hearing none, I'm about to call a question. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you. And so now I'm on item 8G, which is a site plan control agreement at 3518 County Road 2 for the Shoreline Rail Group, Inc. Councilor Cameron, would you bring that motion forward, please?
I will, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Deschamps, that municipal council repeal bylaw 2020-76 and adopt a bylaw to enter into a site plan control agreement with Shoreline Rail Group, Inc. and 2866246 Ontario, Inc. as attached.
Thank you very much. I'm going to have that copy in my package, so we'll deal with this one. So again, we've been working, staff has been working on this site plan control agreement for some time. And I see we have a long briefing with us this evening. And so there will be an opportunity if there's any discussion here tonight on this motion. Discussion, if any? Okay, hearing none, I'm about to call a question on the motion from the chair. Those in favor? And the motion is carried. Thank you. And that'll come up in the form of a bylaw later on in the meeting. And so now I'm at item number 9 on the agenda, which is the approval of the various, or approval of receipt of the various correspondence packages received during the month. And Deputy Mayor Deschamps, would you bring that motion forward, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Steve Dillabaugh. The municipal council receives the correspondence listings for the following dates as previously circulated: October 5th, 2022, October 12th, 2022, October 19th, 2022, and October 26th, 2022.
Okay, thank you very much. And again, just for the benefit of folks in the gallery, all of the correspondence that comes into the township over the course of a week is collated into packages. And those packages are distributed to council members once a week. And so we've received 4 of those packages during the month of October. Now, the protocol is that any member of council that sees an item in a correspondence package that they feel needs or requires full council attention in the form of a motion or discussion at a committee, any member of council is free to bring that item to the attention of staff and ask it to have it put on an agenda of one of the committee meetings during the month. So we're receiving officially receiving 4 packages here this evening. Discussion, if any? Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you. And then item number 10 on the agenda is approval of the municipal disbursements. Councillor Dillabaugh, would you bring that forward, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Deputy Mayor Deschamps, that municipality council approves payments of municipality invoices circulated and dated as follows. Reported date September 26, 2022 -126 $500. Reported date at September 27th, 2022 -127 $1,608,574.85. Reported date September 28th, 2022 -130 $62,011.11. Reported date September 28th, 2022 -131 $146,556.62. Reported date October 13th, 2022 -139 $750. Reported date October 13th, 2022 -140 $50,648.84. Reported dated October 19th, 2022 -141 $215,854.61. Reported date October 20th, 2022 -142 $266,652.58. For a total of $2,351,548.61. I wouldn't want to say that again. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. The motion is on the floor. I'm going to call the question on the motion, then I'll just have a few words of explanation. Discussion, if any, before I call the question? No discussion? Okay, I'll call the question. Those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and again, just for the benefit of the folks in the gallery, you may think we spend this money awful quickly, but just so you know, in most large municipalities, the mayor would not be normally the signing officer, but because we have a small staff and we don't have a full enough staff to have total division of responsibilities, sort of the last control on this expenditure of money comes here before the council table on the last of the month, where we approve these disbursement sheets. These disbursement sheets are circulated to all members of council on the Friday before the meeting, and members of council have the weekend to review them and Monday to talk to staff about individual checks. Once the disbursement sheets are passed, they're signed by the mayor and the checks are released. So that's basically the process that we use in this township at the present time. Okay, and so now I'm moving on. And we do have a number of bylaws before the council tonight. And the first is bylaw 11A, which is a site plan control agreement for 27,888-21 Ontario Inc. on Broseville Road. Deputy Mayor Deschamps, would you bring that bylaw forward, please?
I will. Move by myself, seconded by Councillor Steve Dillabaugh, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to authorize the execution of a site plan control agreement with 27,888-21 Ontario Incorporated, and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Thank you very much. The motion is on the table for discussion. Well discussed at the committee level. Discussion here, if any. Hearing none. Vote to call the question. Those in favor? Do I get your hand, Councilor? Hill? Okay, so that motion is carried unanimously. And our procedural bylaw indicates that if a bylaw receives on unanimous approval at first and second reading, it can proceed to third reading at the same meeting. So proceed to third reading, please.
Thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Steve Dillabaugh, that a bylaw to authorize the execution of a site plan control agreement with 27-888-21 Ontario Incorporated be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2022-63.
Thank you very much. And those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you. And so now I'm proceeding to 11B, which is a site plan control agreement for Shoreline Rail Group, Inc. Councilor Cameron, would you bring that motion forward, please?
Thank you. Moved by myself and seconded by Deputy Mayor Deschamps, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to authorize the execution of a site plan control agreement with Shoreline Rail Group, Inc. and 2866246 Ontario, Inc. And this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Thank you very much. First and second reading, discussion if any. Okay, hearing none, vote to call the question. Those in favor? Motion is carried, and again, it's carried unanimously. It can proceed to third reading, please.
Thank you. Moved by myself and seconded by Deputy Mayor Deschamps, that a bylaw to authorize the execution of a site plan control agreement with Shoreline Rail Group, Inc. and 2866246 Ontario, Inc. be now read a third time, finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2022-64.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to call the question on third reading. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried again. And once again, I see that Mr. Jones is still with us, and I just wanted to indicate that Mr. Jones, we appreciate your investment in our township, and this will get you going on, I believe it's phase 4, 5, and 6, if I'm correct.
5 and 6, that's correct. No, thank you for the collaboration with the township.
Thank you. And so now I'm moving to bylaw number 11C, which is to appoint a treasurer, Mr. Sean Nicholson. So Deputy Mayor Deschamps, would you bring that motion forward, please?
I sure will. Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Steve Dillabaugh, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to appoint a treasurer, Sean Nicholson, for the township of Edwardsburg Cardinal, and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Thank you very much. Discussion of any? Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
I have unanimous approval. You can proceed to third reading, please.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Steve Dillabaugh, that a bylaw to appoint a treasurer, Sean Nicholson, for the township of Edwardsburg Cardinal be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and number 2022-66.
Thank you very much. Calling the question on third reading. Those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. Congratulations, Mr. Nicholson. It's now official.
Happy to be here.
And so now I'm going to item number 12 on the agenda, which is the CAO's administrative update. And I'm going to ask Councilor Dillabaugh to bring the motion forward. I'll hold the motion until after the CAO has presented his administrative update and council has had an opportunity to have a discussion with the CAO, and then I'll deal with the motion on the floor. So if you would, please, Councilor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Deputy Mayor Deschamps, that the municipality council receives the CEO's administration report as presented.
So the motion is on the floor, but floor is turned over to the CAO. Mr. Grant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess first thing on behalf of staff, we certainly want to thank the current council for their service to the community during the 2018-2019 term. And hopefully that the small token that the staff put together is well received and appreciated by members. A couple notes with respect to upcoming public meetings for the general public to be aware of is that we'll be hosting sort of a public meeting evening for 4 zoning bylaw applications. Marcus and 2 for Mulder and 1 for Terrapine Farms on November 24th here at the municipal office beginning at 6:30 p.m. Still on page 1 of the report, just under the restricted acts, as per the lane portion that council was under from August 19th. There were 4 areas that was delegated to the CAO, and that included the award of the hot mix patching to Cornwall Gravel, with upset amount of 107,000. And that was within the approved budget based on council resolutions 2022-336 and 2022-276 and operational funds to complete some patching work within the township. The second area was the award of a pickup truck from BV Dodge. The approved capital budget was 60,000. The vehicle costs come in at $55,643.99. Edison Avenue did not proceed in 2022. The low bid for that work was Coco Paving at 140,000, plus the estimated additional 14,000 in contract remaining contingency brought that estimated project to 154,000. The approved budget only had 103,000 in there. So we will be looking to bring a works in progress report at a future meeting to carry that amount over into 2023 to have that work completed. And the 4th item was just the latest bylaw that just passed was the including the recruitment and hiring of our new treasurer, Sean Nichols. On page 2 of the report, just wanted to highlight from the building department end of it that there have been 128 building permits issued to date. Under bylaw continues to take a proactive and reactive approach to address issues as they arrive. And the township has there's 2 trials that took place in the month of October, and trials were postponed until December. Under treasury, with respect to the owner's part-time employee eligibility under owners, information packages were sent out to all of the current non-full-time employees. That included an information package that they'll be required to provide back to the township, whether they prefer to opt in to that program or if they're declining at this time. Under facilities and recreation, with respect to the boat launch and docks, so renewal took place on October 31st. Just wanted to note that there were 2 successful events with respect to trunk and treat. One, Sarah on Sunday, October 30th, and also an event in Cardinal held on October 31st. Just of note, the upcoming kids art class that will be upstairs in the municipal office beginning November 17th weekly through to December 15th. Page 3 of the report with respect to Spencerville drainage, the paving work has been completed, and staff in the contract administrator for the project for Galloway are working through and creating any deficiency list. And one of the items that I know that council wanted was the summary of the change orders and those costs, and they are listed in this report. Fall brush and leaf pickup scheduled for next week, November 8th in Cardinal and November 9th in Spencerville, Johnstown, and New Rexford. On page 4, operations environmental services, just a note on the windmill pumping station. The fall shutdown was completed, and Also of note, the Rawwell level transmitter that was mentioned at our meeting, I believe, a month or two ago has been purchased, and we do have a spare unit now in stock. Also of note, under the Spencerville wastewater system, we had Hydra survey in to complete the sludge depth survey of the lagoon, and we are awaiting that report. Just of note, under the fire department end of it, on October 15th, the department successfully passed the tanker shuttle recertification and actually surpassed the previous rating by 1,000 liters per minute. And also, in the month of October, they hosted the annual EMS boot camp at Fire Station #1, and I believe that this has been the first time that the weather really did not cooperate all that well. It was a pretty wet day for all those participants. I guess the final item that I'll note is that our 2022 annual compliance submission, the majority of that of the annual requirements have been met. Just two items remaining, which is the emergency management program committee to convene and review the entire program. And we have a couple alternates that will be required to complete an emergency exercise that was held earlier this year. So with that, Mr. Mayor, I will turn that back over to you.
Okay, so thank you very much, Mr. Grant. Another very busy month in your world. I can see that. And now does council have any questions for Mr. Grant? And then we have Councilor Hillbaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have one on the Ward purchase pickup truck for BD Dodge, 60,000. That's for Public Works.
Through the chair, yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
Additional questions? If there are no additional questions, I'm going to put forward the motion that municipal council receives the CAO administrative report as presented.
Just before you call the question, can I give just a comment on the trunk or treat?
Go ahead.
And Sarah, I just wanted to compliment, it's in your report. I was there that Councilor Dillabaugh was there as well. Fantastic event. I think the numbers were close to 300 kids attended. It was really well run by Sarah this year, and hoping to continue that excellent work with them. So well to all of those.
Okay, so I still have a motion on the floor here. Motion to receive the CAO's report. Those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. And now then at item number 13 on the agenda, which is council inquiries or notices of motion. Does anyone have anything to bring forward by means of an inquiry or a notice of motion? Hearing none, I'm about to proceed.
Before you do, Mr. Mayor, mine's not if you'll indulge me for one brief second. It's not an inquiry, it's not a notice of motion, but it is a respectful thing to do. And I wanted to say a heartfelt thank you to Councilor Hunter, who's not here tonight, to Councilor Cameron, and to yourself, Mayor Seo, for the many years of service to our Edwardsburg Cardinal community. Your dedication and experience has certainly served our residents well. So thank you, and best wishes to all of you in your future endeavors.
Very much. Thank you. Okay, are there anybody else to bring any notices, motion, or inquiries forward? Hearing none, then I'll proceed to the mayor's report. And again, I'm going to ask that Deputy Mayor Deschamps bring the motion to receive the mayor's report, bring it forward. I'll hold it on my desk until the mayor's report is complete, and then I'll call the question.
Bear with me while I put my glasses back on. Moved by myself and seconded by Councilor Steve Dillabaugh that municipal council receives the mayor's report as presented.
Thank you very much. So this is the final report of the mayor. So the first thing I want to do, of course, is thank CAO Grant and the staff of the municipal office for all the support and assistance that they've provided to myself and to council over the past 4-year term. Your work is very much appreciated. And although we have to have sometimes some tough discussions behind closed doors, we keep most of them behind closed doors. And again, I just want to extend my thanks. And let me say as well that having the close relationship that I did have with Mr. Grant, the CAO, I'm well aware of the fact that our staff is, I think, in many ways overtaxed in the amount of work that we expect them to do. I know of at least 3 departments where the staff is taxed to the limit, and I'm just going to mention one, which the CAO has already mentioned. I think we've issued something like 128 building permits during the year, and that's a lot of work for a building inspector. And I think we did the right thing. I know we did the right thing. Excuse me, it's a lot of work for the chief building official who has to approve those building permits. It's also a lot of work for the building inspector who has to inspect everything as it goes along. And of course, we know how important the job of the building inspector is, because we are liable for any mistakes or errors that are made during construction. So again, I just want to extend a sincere thank you and say how much your assistance and support is appreciated. Lastly, I want to thank the members of council. I've enjoyed the opportunity to work together with you over the past 4 years. And I just want to highlight a number of accomplishments that I think we can all be proud of. And first is, of course, the continued development of the Cruise Rail Yard. And we know the issues that Cruise Rail has had to go through to go from phase 1 to phase 2 to phase 3, but it all requires site plan control agreements. And we know that we've worked, our staff and community development coordinator has been on top of it every step along the way. So I want to highlight that. We've had over $500 million of capital investment in Edwardsburg Cardinal by large and small investors in the last 8 years, which indicates to me that investors have a warm and fuzzy feeling for the reception that they will get from our staff and from the council. We've had over $16 million of capital improvements at the Port of Johnstown completed and paid for over the past 4 years. And I talk about the Port Grain Loading Spouts project, a big project that ended up somewhere in the neighborhood of $14 million. Repairs and upgrades to the County Road 2 rail bridge, a big project that we finally had to come to terms with. Repairs and rehabilitation of the outside bin walls of the grain elevator. And then construction of the Port Uplands laydown area, which was over $800,000 invested, but that brought about the windmill laydown project and the pipe cargo that we're dealing with right now, both of which would have been impossible without that investment. And again, I want to thank council for following along with that project and supporting that project as it went along. And then lastly, and this is just a few of the things, over $5 million in new grain storage bins over the last 4 years. And we know now in this particular harvest season how important that extra grain storage was. And the last thing I want to mention, and I could have gone on here quite at length, but I did really appreciate council's work and support as we entered the Ontario Job Site Challenge. We knew that when we entered that Ontario Job Site Challenge that we were biting off a large project, but council was supportive of that project all the way through. You invested the money as it was required. You know what those investments were. You know how hard you worked to see it succeed. And I know that you were all as disappointed as I was, and we weren't one of the finalists, but I have the warm fuzzy feeling that that has not ended yet. And I want to recognize as well $125 million of upgrades at Greenfield Global. That project is still ongoing. And again, we appreciate their investment in our township. And lastly, but certainly not least, in that 4-year period, I've counted over 150 new residential units constructed and occupied in our township. And we are definitely seen as the place to what is our state? Live, work and play. And we certainly are attracting a lot of newcomers to our township. I did also mention that I had presented the souvenirs to Brisbane. And the last thing I want to say to council is I'm a little bit disappointed that I wasn't able to realize on the trade of land that we had hoped to achieve with Brisbane. But Brisbane is a large international company headquartered in Italy. And they just don't believe in selling land. And although we only wanted 2 acres from them, it just wasn't going to happen in their world. And so consequently, there's some unfinished business there, and I will be speaking to the owners of Daily sometime in the next week to indicate to them that we'll have to work on Plan B, or the new council will have to work on Plan B, because I know that they're very interested in expanding their operations in our township. So those are my final, that's my final report. And I am going to call the questions that on the motion that the municipal council receives the mayor's report as presented. Those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. And so that concludes most of the items on the agenda here this evening. However, we do have a question period. And we do have a large delegation here this evening, or a large gallery. So questions are focused on issues which were brought up during the meeting. And we allow a number of questions. So I'll go to the question period now and point out that we do have a closed session at the end of the question period. And we will be passing the motion to go into the closed session in public. And then proceeding into the closed session, which should be very short, and arising from the closed session, we'll report out from the closed session. So right now I'm at item number 15, which is the question period. Are there any questions originating from the gallery? And I see a shaking and shaking of heads. Anybody have anything to bring forward? Mrs. Anderson.
Does it have to be about tonight's, or can I question whether my proposal to have my streetlights put on Charlotte Street, how that's going, is going to happen this year, or?
Well, I'll entertain that question because it is on the CAO's work list, and I'll just ask, I know it wasn't highlighted in his report, but I know it's on his work list, so I'll just have the CAO respond there.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Certainly, from the staff and our contractor, we're experiencing a little bit of frustration with Hydro One and receiving the approval of the layout. It is my understanding that Hydro One is supposed to connect up with our contractor in the coming days. Hopefully we can get that approval and have that done in the next couple of weeks. So
the ball is in the court of Hydro One.
the ball is clearly in the court of Hydro One. There were a couple of times where we thought that there was going to be the meeting and layout approved, and we ended up needing to submit some additional paperwork to another entity within Hydro One, and I think that all of that has been now taken care of, and hopefully we'll proceed within the next couple of weeks.
Okay, so I hope that answers your question. It appears that that's where the ball is at this point in time.
Do we know where the lights are going to be positioned on that road?
Mr. Grant?
The light, I believe it is at 57. Is that the correct location? 57.
Post 57. So it appears that that's where it's going to be. And that's where they're waiting for the layout, what's called the electrical layout.
So at 57, I'm the one that's concerned about where this light is. That does nothing for us at the end where we are living. So who decides that? That light is not going to help us at all at our end when they put it on 57.
Okay, I'm not familiar with the post locations, and maybe we can
Is that negotiable or is that decided?
Okay, well, I'll go back to Mr. Grant again.
So, through the chair, I believe that the contractor was looking at the best full location to install that light, but there's nothing to say that, since the layout isn't, been approved, that there may be some opportunity there. The reality is that might start that entire process all over again. But we can certainly do a quick follow-up in that regard.
Okay, now, and I'm not familiar with, I mean, I know where you live, and I don't know the pole locations in your area at all. But maybe you can follow that up after this meeting with Mr. Grant or Mr. Shaw.
Right. Well, Mr. Dillabaugh knows exactly where the poles are, don't you?
Well, I don't know.
So the questions come through the chair.
Sorry, in case, Mr. Dillabaugh knows the road. He was there and he looked at the poles. So, and I explained to him, if they put it at 57, that has no value to us where we're living. None whatsoever. So just,
Okay, can I invite you then to take the issue up with Mr. Dillabaugh and Mr. Grant?
thank you.
Are there any other questions from the gallery? Okay, if there are no other questions from the gallery, then we have item number 16, which is closed session. And Councillor Dillabaugh, will you bring forward the motion to go into closed session? We do this in public, and I'll explain what the reason is as we go through the motion. Councillor Dillabaugh.
That the closed meeting and municipality does not. Municipality council proceeds in a closed session. At 7:22 PM. In order to address the matters between.
Well, I'm gonna read the entire motion. So the entire motion is, what was the time again? 7:22 PM. The municipal council proceeds into closed session at 7:22 PM in order to address a matter pertaining to section 239(2) sub V, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including a municipal or local board employee, specifically a financial matter. And also in the closed session, we will go into, we will use section 239, section 2 sub F, for the purpose of advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, specifically dealing with the minutes of the closed session dated July the 18th. And then the third reason for going into the closed session is under section, is permitted under section 239(2) sub H, which is information explicitly supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board by Canada, a province or a territory or a crown agency of any of them, specifically the closed meeting session of August the 8th. So we're approving minutes of closed session on July the 18th, closed session on August the 8th, and then dealing with us specifically with a financial matter. So those are the three reasons, and those are the three subsections of the act under which we go into the closed session. Those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Those in favor?
Right.
Motion is carried. Anybody left outside there?
I think so.
Hey, I think we're ready to go here. So the committee rose from the closed meeting at 7:36 PM. And I'm now about to report out of the closed session. So coming out of the closed session, Councillor Dillabaugh will bring a motion forward, please.
Moved by myself and seconded by Deputy Mayor DeShantz. Municipal Council receives and approves the closed session minutes dated July 18th, 2022, and August 8th, 2022.
Okay, those in favor? So the committee reviewed the minutes of those two closed meetings, and this now approves in public fact that those minutes were reviewed and approved. And so reporting further from the closed session held under section 239 2 sub B. I made a report to the committee concerning a financial matter which may have had implications for personal matters about an identifiable individual. That issue is now in the hands of staff, and the issue has been seized by staff, and staff will be reporting back to the next council. So that concludes the report out from the closed session. And now I'd like to get the confirmatory bylaw for the meeting. And looking at my notes here, it looks like the confirmatory bylaw will come forward from Councillor Dillabaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Deputy Mayor DeShantz that the bylaw to adopt, confirm, ratified matters dealt with by the resolution be now passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2022-67.
And those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried, and our procedural bylaw indicates that only the confirmatory bylaw is dealt with first, second, and third reading all at once. And so that deals with the confirmatory bylaw, and I'm now at item number 19 on the agenda, which is adjournment. Councillor Cameron.
Thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Deschamps, that municipal council does now adjourn at 7:40 PM.
Okay, thank you very much. Those in favor? The motion is carried. And we are adjourned.